Howdy everybody, we're back with some more RPG horror stories. Let's jump into it. Our first story is going to be by Sympathy Express 9113 and is titled Player Got Angry Because I Didn't Manage a Second Campaign. Hi there, this happened recently and it was such a weird situation I wanted to share it here. Last month I got the chance to make a D&D group on Discord. Nobody out of the players had ever done a D&D session, so I was very excited to introduce them to the game. There was a big group, about 6 people. I knew some of them wouldn't like the game, would probably leave, but I was determined. After some talking, I teach the players how to make their characters, what kind of gameplay they could expect from me, and the ropes of a normal session. I'm a very comedic-focused DM, and I do a lot of jokes when doing the narrative and controlling the NPCs. I didn't want to scare the players with edgy loot or weird stuff for their first ever campaign. All the players were okay with that and enjoyed it. So session 0 was a success. This is important for later. All right, and this sounds like the DM gave them a rundown of what to expect. I'll say 6 is quite a few people. Hopefully that isn't too much for the newer players, at least. Trying to wrangle 6 new players can be quite a lot, especially when you're trying to teach them the rules and how their characters work, and they're all kind of like not sure how to like role play and act and what to do and all that. It can be a lot trying to balance 6 different entities who need like that kind of attention. The problem started a couple sessions in. The band of heroes was tasked with dealing with goblins terrorizing a farm. Soon enough, the group follows tracks of the evil goblinoids into a cave, which was revealed to be an old mine, which they changed into a lair. Then the problem started. The player in question made a female elf warrior, which he represented with a blood elf from WoW, World of Warcraft. The elf was in bikini armor, which nobody in the group had a problem with. I knew the guy beforehand, and he wasn't as bad as I thought he would be. While I didn't like him 100%, I was willing to play with him with no problems. However, in the middle of an encounter, the group was surrounded by goblins. Though the rest were focused on killing the enemy, this player decided to try to seduce the goblins. He did a very long, explicit description of how the character tried to charm the greenskins, which went a little too long. The roll fails, and so I make the goblins have loving wives and deny the elf. I went to his DMs telling him to tone it down since the other players could get uncomfortable with things like that, or even worse, be minors. Do they not know the age of the people they're playing with? He replied that it was, quote, a joke, like the ones I do as a DM, and that I was exaggerating, but he agreed to tone it down anyways. Good on the DM for telling the player to chill here. It wouldn't hurt, though, to just give a general reminder above table to everybody. Just be careful of the content that's being broached in RP, and let them know that romance isn't going to be an option in this campaign, or something along those lines. Like, it doesn't have to reiterate that, not call the person up, be like, hey, John, you fucked up. How dare you? So like, hey guys, just an above table thing, like romance isn't going to be an option, let's just not do that. After the encounter was done, the group went deeper into the lair and found more goblins to slay. In the middle of the battle, he quits the session when the party was in a bad spot without explaining anything. The players survived with a little bit of my help because they really needed a warrior to do damage. A week later, the guy comes up to my DMs again. He suggests the group could play on his Discord server and roleplay with his own lore, so he asked me to join as well. I wasn't sure after what he did mid-session, but I half agree, and I read the wall text of lore. It was confusing as hell, but I knew he wasn't very good taking feedback. I say it was just, quote, good. Okay, so this guy quits mid-session and wants OP to end his campaign, it kind of sounds like, and instead go do his, campaign. I'd be hesitant to join a campaign where somebody just quit mid-session without a good reason. I can understand being flustered maybe and having to step away, or emergencies occur or something like that, but it's kind of just odd that he up and left, never really gave a reason, and then a little bit later it's like, hey, how about we just run a campaign in my Discord, and here, let me give you the lore. Oh, you should join, by the way. Finally, we reach yesterday. He writes me and asks if the group could play on his server and do his roleplay instead of doing the D&D session of the week. For some reason, he requests that I DM the roleplay but tone down the rules and dice rolls so it is simpler, which left me very weirded out since it's his idea and he should be the one DMing. However, I'm okay with doing the DMing as long as he did the organization of the campaign, i.e. lore, locations, quests, etc. Okay, this sounds like a recipe for a really bad time here. It sounds like this player doesn't like how the DM DMs and doesn't like the world and whatnot. Instead wants it done his world, his way. As a DM, fuck that. I'll DM my world. I'm going to DM it my way. I'm not running somebody else's game. Running a pre-written or something like that, or a world that has its own pre-written book that you're using, if you're using one of the Critical Role books, or if you're using Delvers, which is the Delver's Guide to Beast World, or if you're using, you know, Curse of Strahd or Icewind Dale or whatever, like those are fine. I'm not knocking anybody who ever does this. I use a pre-written book for like my world setting. I play one of my campaigns is in the world of Critical Role, specifically it's in Wildmount. So like no issues with that. But if that's going to be done, I also want my own stuff in there. And even if it is a pre-written adventure, as a DM, you can still get to run it your way. To have another player feed you what the exact lore for the entire world is going to be, the rules, etc. for everything, but you're handling all the DMing, no, I'm good. Like, I'd be good. Also, if this guy is feeding you lore, rules, quests, etc., like all that stuff, he kind of knows everything that's going to happen. So to me, would that not be less fun for him as a player? Because part of the fun of being a player is not knowing what's going to happen week to week. Like, yeah, it doesn't know like the minutia of everything, how everybody's going to react, what could end up happening, but he'll know the general overtones. If there's some big twist coming that the mayor's the BBEG, he's gonna know because he told this person who's supposed to be DMing that the mayor's gonna be the BBEG, so that kind of ruins the fun. Also, why stop your own campaign and just go and run his? Like, just do it on a different day. Like, if you play on Wednesdays, instead have it on, I don't know, Thursdays or Saturdays or Sundays or some other day of the week or whatever. I don't like this. This stinks to high hell. Hours later, it's almost time to play. I ask the group if they're ready. They say yes, and I'm waiting for the guy to invite them to his server. Then wait a little bit more. And then he complains, saying I wasn't doing anything to start the roleplay. Well, then it hit me. This guy really wanted me to do everything. He hadn't done any planning, any quests, any storylines to follow. He wanted me to manage both campaigns at the same time and expect me to bring quality, which was the breaking point for me. I started the session normally on the Discord server that wasn't his. He was mad at me, saying I was being, quote, not the same person he spoke with that morning, and that he, quote, wouldn't wait for me to manage things out. In the end, I continued the session I had planned out since last week. The party did shopping, spoke with the locals of a town, discovered new problems they didn't know about, and then organized for their new quest. The other guy stopped talking altogether with me, which I'm fine with after all he tried to pull off. I honestly don't know how you can ask someone to manage your idea to do your role-playing campaign, but this is my story. I want to read your thoughts about this because it was very weird. And it definitely is very weird. It's one thing to kind of offer like a one-off idea, like, hey, you know, a campaign in the Naruto universe would be really cool. But to like expect someone to then run the entire thing and specify where, when, and how things are going to happen, like, nah, fuck off. If you love an idea so bad or want things done a certain way, to be honest, just do it yourself. Don't dump this crap on your DM after you quit his campaign mid-session because you don't like the way he has rules set up or his world or whatever. Hopefully OP drops this player like a sack of bricks, because to be honest, they're dead weight holding his campaign back. Our last story is going to be from user Luna1396 and is titled, You're a Player, Not a Monster. To start off with, this isn't the first homebrew this player has made. The difference was I was their DM. Recently, I joined a new D&D server. It was a semi-one-shot server with the Odd Lawn campaign. It's loosely moderated with DMs able to do house rules and character parameters. The people, even the player being written about, were genuinely great people, and I'm glad I know them. They have a love for the game, and a lot of them are ready to nerd out the drop of a hat over some classic lore spanning all the way back to 2nd edition. The problem with them, the player, though, is that they didn't seem to get the difference between monster stat blocks and PCs that can grow, get feats, and be aided by items, classes, and the like. For example, I recently had to reject their, quote, dragon trapped in a semi-human form homebrew. Instead of reskinning a dragonborn, they wanted a character that had a rechargeable fire breath that they could roll for each round with a d6, a d12 of claw damage, because dragon, ignoring that basically doubles what any PC races get, flight with heavy armor, multi-attack including claws, bite, tail, etc., a bite worth a d10 that would also do fire damage, an aura that inspired fear around NPCs, not from an intimidation roll or the haunted one background, but just, I walk down the road and caravan drivers rush to pull their horses to the side, fighting to control their horses as they attempt to bolt. All right, just looking at all this here, this seems like a lot for a PC to have on top of class features. I assume they were hoping that the fire breath would be on par damage-wise with like a dragon, so like 16d6 if we're talking like an adult, or like young. Or were they planning to be closer to what the Dragonborn is? So like 2d6 and it is increasing with level? Like I really hope if it's one of them, it's the latter. Like looking at this, I would just really push them to modify a Dragonborn. When putting monster stats onto a PC, you're going to run into muddy waters really, really quickly here. Like a D12 claw damage? No. If allowed, I would do a D4 to mimic what the Tabaxi has. Flight with heavy armor? No, just flat no. That to me is maybe something you get from a special item or something later in the game to like reward you for your flight. I'm not going to give you the ability to fly with heavy armor right out of the gate at level 1. Multi-attack? Hell freaking no. If you play a martial class, you will get extra attacks somewhere down the line unless you're like a rogue or something like that. You can wait for that. Bite that also does fire damage. Again, that's a no. Depending on the class, maybe we can edit an ability or spell to get this to like kind of hit that vibe or feel. Like there is a druid ability that allows you to like lace your teeth with acid damage. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's like a cantrip I think you can cast. So when you bite something, it does like you roll a spell attack instead of a normal attack and it does like acid damage or something like that. We could re-flavor it so it does a mixture of piercing and fire damage if you like want that so badly, but you're casting a cantrip for that instead. But really overall, like something like that depends on your class though. Like a fear aura, again, no for that, especially if it isn't tied to a save or an intimidation roll or something like that. I don't care if deep down you're a dragon stuck in a human's body, because on the outside, guess what? You're a humanoid still and you're still a player character. If somebody came with me with this right here, I would say no, this would not be allowed at my table. If you wanted something like it, it would be getting nerfed and reskinned to high hell before it even touched my table. When I told them they'd have to put their breath on a counter per long rest, lower the natural weapon damage to match other races, nerf the heavy armor flight, and no fear me aura, their argument would boil down to, but the red dragon stat block. I refused to budge, and so they just went to another DM running a one-shot at the time. I usually mute campaigns I'm not in, so I'm not even sure how that went, but not my monkey, not my circus. But my dragon stat block, shut up. At the end of a long campaign, and I'm talking like the session or two before the end of a campaign, sure, we break the curse that's holding you back, causing you to be a dragon stuck in a humanoid's body, and maybe we let you loose as a dragon or something with the full stat block. But any earlier than that, no. You don't get to play a monster stat block. They're different for a reason. OP is right to ask for these adjustments, but this player just wants to play a broke as fuck character right out of the gate. You allow any of this crap, they'll be asking for legendary actions on top of it next or something like that. Also, a red dragon, if this is like a good campaign, I would be very concerned that this would just be a cover for the character to act like a dick and be a murder hobo. Like, oh, I have to kill this shopkeep for their 5 gold. It's what my red dragon trapped in a human fighter's body would do, DM. Like, I like the character concept. It is a cool, neat concept. I've heard of it before, and I think it could fit into the right campaign. But this wouldn't be something where if you're going to be a dragon, you get access to that full stat block or anything close to it for a very long time. And when it gets brought to at least my table, it's getting nerfed to high hell. Because it has to be fair for all the other players. Alrighty guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys all for hanging out. If you have not yet, please do like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the stories we talked about. Other than that, catch me out on Twitch. Links are in the description. I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.